So this is part 3 of the connection between the April 8th eclipse and the Red Heifer sacrifice. While you may think that's a lot of connections from the last 2 videos, honestly, that's really just where we're getting started. So one of the main pieces that we're just going to take all this stuff and combine it and look at it as a whole. Both NASA and CERN are popping off on April 8th as well. So NASA, on April 8th, has funded a mission that they're calling APEP, which is the name for an Egyptian serpent deity, essentially Apophis, where, I don't know if you've heard that name thrown around there, but the Apophis comet is also coming into play over the next couple of years. That's the chaos monster, the giant serpent in Egyptian mythology. So the Egyptian name is Apep or Apophis. It's referencing that red dragon. The dragon in Revelation is referring to the giant red serpent. Dragon is just a flying serpent. So if it's not bad enough that you've got NASA shooting a missile or a group of missiles called the serpent deity at the sun, the black hole sun that is all throughout ancient literature. But you also have CERN opening up and activating on April 8th, coalescing with these events. I don't know if any of you guys have researched CERN and the real purpose and intention behind it. There have been much better researchers than me that have done the research on going through CERN, lining up the imagery, the symbology, and then what they actually say on their own website. They say in their subtle language they're trying to open a portal to the underworld, to another dimension, they call it. Their symbol is Shiva stepping through, you got it, a portal. What does this look like? This is an eclipse with the number 666 embedded in that eclipse symbol. Why is the World Economic Forum's logo the solar eclipse with the 666 in it? We're going to explain that. We're going to talk about in future videos who owns the World Economic Forum, who the World Economic Forum works for. It all lines up. You just got to follow the breadcrumbs. We already have predictive programming all throughout America and I'm sure several other countries that are talking about potential outages, potential natural disasters, all kinds of potential issues with this eclipse. We already had, just today, a magnitude 4.8 or 4.9, somewhere around there, earthquake around the New Jersey area near this line. We're already popping off. Solar eclipses from the dawn of time have always had some kind of a correlation to earthquakes. The great earthquake that happens in Revelation and in Zechariah are very, very likely linked to the midpoint of that final week and come after the darkness. Here's one more issue with this whole sacrifice. If they do this thing on April 8th or April 9th, that's not even on a biblical feast day. That is on the final days of Ramadan, which is in reference to the holy war of Islam. So they're handing over that Temple Mount by blessing it, by sprinkling the blood of that red heifer sacrifice, which is linked to Ephraim in America, sprinkling it over the Temple Mount and sanctifying not the temple of God, the temple of the Most High, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They are anointing and consecrating and consummating a marriage with Allah, with the God of death, with Apollyon, who is coming out of the abyss. They're literally telling you that they are trying to draw the spirit of Shiva, Apollyon, you name him. I'm not even going to spout all the names because I try to keep the names of these gods off my lips. All of them, they're all the same spirit. It's death. death and Hades are coming on the third and fourth horsemen. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to get into the timeline and the covenants that have been made to get us here in future videos. We are very, very possibly already in the middle of the 70th week of Daniel, and that's the second fulfillment. The first fulfillment of Daniel was completed with Jesus, Yeshua, on the cross, cut off as per the prophecy. Now, as far as the timeline stuff, I'm basing actually, it's wild. The center point of this whole timeline concept comes from Dr. Christian Widener. I just was introduced to his view on the Daniel 9 prophecy, and up until now I've been stumped on it. His interpretation lines up exactly with the prophecies that we have seen. With essentially his book is called Witnessing the End, and I believe his website is called End Times Berean, something to that effect. Anyway, his postulation is that he doesn't use this terminology for it, but all throughout the Bible you've got a whole iteration of early morning prophecies that then fulfill in a second fulfillment, a greater fulfillment, or an evening prophecy. You even see that in the Jacob's prophecy over Benjamin. In the morning he will devour the prey, in the evening he will divide the spoil. He's talking about two different prophetic timelines where the morning leads into the evening. In his concept of the prophecy, he goes to a second edict of the restoration of the building of the walls and the moat of Jerusalem, which happened in 1537 by Sultan Suleiman. If you trace that forward, by 483 years, according to the 69 weeks of Daniel, lands you exactly at the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020, when all of this stuff started really hitting the fan. It lines up flawlessly. I'm going to get into those proof texts, the covenant, who the prince was, how Daniel's prophecy refers to the first iteration, and how it was the people of the prince who would come in the future that would initially destroy the sanctuary and the tabernacle, which happened in 70 AD. It all lines up. The people of this prince did it. This also is a litmus test to know who the prince is, who he's connected to. All this and more in more videos, but guys, prophecy's happening around us, and if we don't wake up, we're going to get burnt up by it. It is our job as the believers and the disciples in this last day to wake up when we're shaken. It is time to wake up, trim your lamps, get your oil, because midnight's coming. We are seconds away. The prophecies are here. We're seeing the fulfillments, and they line up exactly with Scripture. I'm going to prove it and more. If you guys have any questions, just keep on asking them, and I will answer them as we get to them. Thanks for listening so far. Love you guys. And don't take my word for any of this. Go do your own research. Study the Word. That's how I've learned this. This has all been given by God as I asked him these questions. We all need to be asking these questions because it's for all of us. Your family's life or death depends on what you do right now. Your life or death depends on what you do right now. The cataclysm is right at the door, and it can be either really good for you or really bad for you. You can either be the baker or you can be the cupbearer. You can be restored to your position or you can be removed. It's completely up to you and me. Individually, we all have to decide what we're going to do with this. I pray you all take it and run with it and read and dig and study, because you've got to understand and trim your wicks. Midnight's coming.